This is Rick Rule for Rule Investment Media and the Rule Classroom, sponsors of the 2025 Natural Resources Investment Symposium, July 7 through 11 in Boca Raton, Florida, or via live stream from the comfort and convenience of your own home. A few things to know when you're attending the conference. One of which is that we're going to present between 50 and 55 hours of very intensive, very valuable programming over 4 days. More programming, in fact, than you can absorb in 4 days. To that end, we're going to make conference tapes available to you for a year, and you're going to need to avail yourself of those. We will also have discussion groups at the Rule Classroom about the subjects mentioned at the conference so that you can compare notes with everybody else. Further to that, however, we interview every single public company exhibitor and most of the speakers before the conference. This enables you to come to the conference fully prepared. We urge you to listen to the interviews and determine which subjects and which sponsors are of interest. Learn about the sponsors before you come to this conference. Reach out to the companies before you come to the conference. And use your time at the conference to allocate your time and your capital more efficiently. One more thing. At our conference, unlike any other conference on the planet, every single public company exhibitor must have their shares owned by the conference sponsors, which is to say, every exhibitor is vetted. We refuse more sponsors than we accept at the conference. That is your guarantee that the conference exhibitors are content too. There is no guarantee that because I own a stock, it goes up, but there is a guarantee that every single exhibitor has been vetted by me personally and the rest of the conference staff. So let's get on with this project. Today, I have the good fortune to interview a friend of long standing, Bruce Smith of Radius Gold. I've been a shareholder of Radius on and off for probably 20 years. This is one of the on periods, which is one of the reasons why I let them come to the conference. Bruce, first of all, thank you for your ongoing efforts on behalf of Radius shareholders and more particularly for your ongoing support of the Natural Resources Investment Symposium.
Thanks, Rick. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, and I really look forward to the conference. It's a great conference.
Tell us something about your background, Bruce. Tell us how you came to run Radius, what you've done in exploration and finance in your career.
Right. How I'm a geologist, exploration geologist. I have been working exploring for mines of all kinds for about 32 years, all across the globe, Africa, Australia, Europe, Asia, but a lot of the last 20 years in Latin America and right through North America, Latin America, and mostly in the last 20 years, I've worked on and off with Gold Group, that's Simon Ridgway, a bunch of his companies. And for the last 5 years, I've been the CEO of Radius. I have a deep knowledge of Mexico in particular, and Peru and Argentina. And the way I became the CEO of Radius is I'd been working in Argentina. We had found a large silver deposit there that got converted to a mine. My kids needed to go into New Zealand school, so I came back home and I wasn't doing much. And Simon said, find me a project. And so I found the Amalia project. We put that into Radius, and Amalia is a great project. We need to hit it out of the park, so to speak. During COVID, I became the CEO of Radius, and so we're working away, trying to hit that one out of the park. As you said, Radius has been around a long time. We've found a lot of things, but we've yet to really knock it, out.
So, Bruce, one way to summarize that is that you run a company that is exploring in Latin America, and you've been exploring in Latin America for 20 years. You are,
Yeah.
in effect, doing something today that you spent 20 years learning how to do. Let's move on to Radius. Tell me, first of all, how big Radius is. What's the market capitalization? How much of that is represented by cash and securities? And what is one paying for the rest of the assets in Radius?
We have 107 million shares out, 10% owned by 11% owned by the management. We're currently trading at about 11 cents, so market capitalization between fluctuates a bit, 10 and 12 million at the moment. We have in cash today 600,000. I'm talking Canadian dollars here, and we have 1.3 million worth of equities. So we've got about 1.7 million in cash and equities, and so 10 million in is the rest of the value of our projects
Sure.
and our team, of course. So
Now, you are by and large a prospect generator, although on occasion you do spend some of your own capital on your own projects. One way to measure the respect that a prospect generator has in the community is to look at the partners that they've had over time. Can you tell me the names of some of the third parties that have had a high enough regard for your company that they've invested with you? Name some of the partners from the past.
um, Volcanic Gold Mines is operating our projects in Guatemala. The main partner we have right now is Pan American Silver. So Pan American Silver entered into the Amalia project with us. They're a big company. They're looking for a very big target, and I think we have a very big target. They're a good company, but like all major companies, they're slower than us junior companies would like. And so that's our battle with them. They're in for they have patience and they're in for the long term, but our shareholders want to see something tomorrow, and I want to see something tomorrow too.
So let's go, if we can, across a couple of the major projects in the company. Tell me the value proposition. Tell me what you're trying to accomplish. Tell me what you believe the value that you can unlock for shareholders in the next 12 and 24 months.
So I consider that we have four key projects. We have a joint venture in Guatemala on a project called Holly. And we've drilled Holly with Volcanic. It's got 400,000 ounces equivalent, roughly at about 9 grams. There's some fantastic high-grade holes in the bottom of that. The last time we drilled a couple of years ago, two holes in particular were about 4 meters at 50 grams gold and somewhere near, kilo range of silver. So those were fantastic holes, but Guatemala is a difficult place. That's why we joint ventured it. Guatemala is not easy, so there's some big deposits there. Pan American paid $1 billion to acquire Escobal, and then Lundin invested in Bluestone, and we had all the ground in between. Volcanic is our joint venture partner there, and they've just announced that they would like to go back to drilling. In fact, Simon has just been back to Guatemala and met with the local mayors, and we think that most of the people are on side again, and he would like to get back to drilling that project in the coming year. So that's our first project. One of the other projects is I'm always working on project generation. As you said, that's my first love. So I've always got a project in the pipeline coming up that, we would hope to have announced by the time I get to your conference. Then we have the Tierra Roja property. So Mexico has gone through some difficult law changes when Lopez Obrador was the president, and it was okay for pre-existing projects, but for real grassroots exploration, it made it difficult for some time. And in that time, I went to Peru and I found a very attractive copper project, and we're just bringing that towards drilling now. That's called Tierra Roja. Tierra Roja has never been drilled in an amazing place. It's on the coast of Peru in like the world's biggest copper producing belt. That belt that comes through northern Chile and Peru. Peru's the second biggest producer in the world. Chile's the first, and most of that copper is coming from that southern coastal belt, big porphyries there, IOCG deposits. And we have a new anomaly there that is, we've got outcropping oxide copper across an 800 by 800 meter area, big structures coming through, and we're just preparing that for drilling at the moment. So I've completed geophysics last week. I don't have the results yet, but the work on the ground has been done. Geochemistry has been done, permitting zoom process. So in the coming month or two, I would like to have that all ready to drill. And then the final project we have is the Amalia project, and that is one of those projects that you don't find very often in your life, I would say. Like, I've been doing this 30 years. You know, people who have, you talk about that serial success. There is, I've been lucky that I've been involved with a very big gold discovery in Guinea. I led a big silver lead zinc discovery in Argentina, which is now the Chinchillas mine, owned by Silver Standard. And I can see that Amalia project is going to be, one of those discoveries. That's what I believe. It's already demonstrated to have huge potential. The difficulty for Radius is kind of grasping that value for our shareholders. We're in a joint venture, as I said, with Pan American, and they have long-term, kind of slow, methodical pace, and they've gained control, and we've found that that is not suitable for our shareholders. So we're right now trying to negotiate to get that control back.
Got it. And what would you suggest generates the value? What do shareholders talk to you about in terms of the accomplishments that they can look forward to in the 12 to 24-month time frame? Would you suggest that the focus is on the Amalia acquisitions? Would you suggest that the focus is on new generation, new project generation? What will we be looking at? What are the unanswered questions? What are the catalysts?
The unanswered questions are, we always have a pipeline of projects. I've always got a plan B in mind. So, if you don't strike it with the first hit, you've still got a second swing at it. And the real key for me is a known value that you can say, if we get this, it'll completely change the company. As if we can, we're in negotiations right now with Pan American. They've made us an offer to buy us out, and that kind of at least set the price. And that price is right now not good enough for us. And we've gone back and said, you guys haven't drilled this thing in the last 3 years. So to get an understanding, Amalia is one of those projects where it's big. We got like 17 kilometers of structures. We've drilled in 3 different areas and hit on all 3 high-grade big intercepts. To give, a concept of how good it is, we've had holes that went 34 meters true width at 12 grams gold and 350 silver. So you don't get many of those holes in your life. And there's 3 different areas. If we now own 35%, but Pan American has not done any work for 3 years, and they've just announced the acquisition of Mag Silver. And that is going to consume their time. So we've offered to either regain control by either buying out their 65% outright with a back and right if we exceed 3 million ounces, or earn back into a control position with that same back and right. They're not prepared to spend any money now, so that's what we want to do. Now, if we can't get to that, we would sell out for a royalty in cash, and we'll put that money into Terra Roja, which is our plan B. Terra Roja is a great property, never been drilled, so it's got great potential. But the difference with Amalia is it's got 67 high-grade drill holes into it.
Well, Bruce, thank you for your ongoing effort on behalf of shareholders, in particular me as a shareholder. Thank you,
Yeah.
too, for your ongoing support of the conference. To the extent that our listeners want to learn more about Radius, want to learn more about Amalia and the other assets, who do they contact and how do they reach that person?
They contact me. I'm the main guy for the company, so I'm prepared to take calls from shareholders whenever they want to talk to me.
And how do they reach you?
My phone number, plus, you got a pen, everybody? +642218837763. I'll repeat that. +642218837763. Now, I'm traveling all the time around the world, mostly in Latin America, sometimes in New Zealand. You don't need to worry about what time to call because I turn it off when I go to sleep. So you can just call.
Well, Bruce, thank you for that. I look forward to hosting you in Boca Raton, July 7 through 11.
Thanks, Rick. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. Look forward to seeing you there.